Hey, what's up guys? My name is XZYLO, and this is going to be a new video series of mine that's going to be covering a whole range of audio production topics. A lot of you here may know me from YouTube, from the vocal covers that I did when I was younger, but I've also been producing for a number of years now, and I produce all different types of stuff, from pop, hip-hop, rock, metal, R&B, you name it. In this video, we're going to be covering using effects and layering in different ways to be able to create and accentuate different sorts of soundscapes in your songs or productions. And this goes for both artists and producers. I think that some of these things would be very useful in helping you maybe guide you along if you don't know maybe what effect to use in this vocal or whatever it is. Hopefully that some of the things that I explain here will help with that. So first things first, we're going to be looking into how to apply effects through the use of auxiliary synths and buses. Now I have a session pulled up here. It is from the intro track of my record, and we're going to be mainly taking a look at the vocals here because I think it has a very sort of unique application in which we're kind of using these effects and stuff. So now what is an auxiliary send or a bus? Well, basically it takes your track that you already have, it makes a copy of it and it sends it somewhere else. Now the best way that I can show this is that I have everything set to buses right now. So all of my groups and all of my different instruments are all being sent to something called MB, and MB here stands for master bus, which I have named. And the master bus is basically sort of my main channel that I send all of the audio groups to. And basically what I'm doing with that is that I can take vocals, and through the use of auxiliary sends, I can send like 3 different vocals here just to one bus that's all using the same sort of effect. So the reason why I'm looking at the vocals here is because I'm using different kinds of auxiliary sends. Now there's 3 different types here that's listed on Logic, but mainly we're just going to be looking at something called post-pan and pre-fader. Now pre-fader, when you send a, let's say this vocal track here, and you send it through to the auxiliary channel, basically what happens is that if you take this volume and you were to turn it all the way down, that effect that's going through the bus or the copy of the channel that's going through it is still going to play no matter how low or how high that is. Now, in terms of post-pan, basically what it's doing is that the volume of the bus is going to adjust as you raise or lower the volume in your main channel strip here. But what you can do is that you can also send it to post fader, and you can actually pan the track separately through that sort of thing. Now, just to show you an example of this, I'm just going to solo this vocal here, and we're going to just kind of play this and hear how it sounds.
Hello to you, hello my sunshine, hello to paradise, hello my purpose.
As you can hear, there's this effect going on, almost like this flanger effect. And what I'm doing is that I'm sending a vocal here, pre-fader, over to a bus that has reverb, flanger, some EQ, and some imaging and stuff like that. Now, if I were to solo this bus and play it by itself, this is what it would sound like. Now, these are just different sorts of effects that you can sort of use to be able to kind of create a soundscape with the song. So let's hear this all together real quick so you guys can get an idea of what I'm trying to achieve here. And as you can hear, there's like... So as you can hear, you know, the vocals here are kind of, you know, giving this sort of dreamlike effect. You know, it's sort of doing this thing. It's creating just like something unique out of something that's very simple, because there's not really a lot going on with these vocals here. It's just a very simple delivery. But these are just these sorts of ways to be able to accentuate what you already have. All right, so next we're going to be looking at how we can apply different sorts of layers to be able to take something that's sort of, you know, normal in the, you know, inside your production and kind of like accentuate it with something new, almost like genre bending in a sense. So right now, what I have pulled up here is that I've soloed a snare drum that I have in a sort of like a pop rock R&B track. let's take a listen to the snare real quick by itself. Okay, so this snare here, obviously like just a normal sounding snare and whatnot, and in context of the mix, let's hear it real quick.
You tried to speak in silence while I tried to hide.
So what do you do in this case to kind of give it more of that like pop feel, sort of like that pop rock vibe? And what I did in this specific case is that I combined like an 808 clap with the snare. It essentially kind of took, you know, what would be sort of like, you know, a regular kind of rock live drum track and kind of, you know, elevated it, you know, to this level that gave it more of a pop feel, like gave it more of that R&B feel that would essentially otherwise not be there. And these sorts of things I think are very important, you know. You don't want to get too lost in the details of these things because, you know, a song is still a song at the end of the day. But let's listen to it with the clap real quick and you'll see what I mean.
You tried to speak in silence while I tried to hide, but the softest melody drew me.
See what I mean? I think layering is very important in stuff like that has a lot of genre fusion. In this specific case, that clap and snare combo was everything for this song. Lastly, we're going to be looking at automation on the channel strip itself and how you can use effects on the channel strip via automation to control essentially what it's doing. Now, specifically, what I'm going to be doing is another, you know, vocal thing, and I'm going to solo these vocals real quick, and I'm just going to kind of play you the effect that I have here.
Guilty like the red pill, the only feeling I felt is no.
Now, I have already printed this track and the effect that I'm using, but I'm going to share with you kind of what I did. So I have another track pulled up here where we can do this. There's a lot of plugins out there to do this. Basically, we're going to be using a form of pitch shifting, but we're not going to be transposing the vocal itself. What we're going to be doing is using the formant pitch in order to change sort of the pitch of the vocal without actually changing what, you know, the key itself. So being able to do this through automation, let me play this vocal real quick.
The ocean wave that I'm on is no I haven't felt.
Now see what I was doing there by playing with that shift, that formant shift there was able to shift the vocal, but it didn't shift the key of the song, it didn't transpose it at all. So what I was doing here in order to achieve that sort of effect is that I was going here to the automation. You go to formant shift here. This is for this specific plugin, by the way. There's other plugins that do it. I know Sound Toys has Little Alter Boy, which is a great plugin, would recommend. I do not have it myself, but I want it. So basically what you do is that you take, you know, this little track, I've pulled up the automation for it, and you take it, basically, you can just do whatever you want. Like I'm gonna, whoop, just kind of mess with it. And let's see what it does here. And that's basically kind of the way that you can automate these tracks. So let's say that you had a channel where you have reverb straight on the track itself, on the channel strip, instead of sending it to a bus. You can take that reverb and you can automate it where it's completely dry, and you can automate it to completely wet, and it'll do that in the song itself. So all in all, this is basically sort of the gist of it in terms of applying effects to create different sorts of soundscapes or to be able to accentuate the songs that you already have. There's plenty of different types of applications for these sorts of things. I mean, this is just some of the stuff that I did myself, but I mean, it's up to you to be able to figure out what you can do with these, you know, these sorts of applications. And if you stuck around for the whole video, or if you like some of the music that you heard today, you can go check that out. I'm going to leave links in the description below. My new record is out right now. It's called Lost In Delfino. I would really love for you guys to listen to that. And I have a new single called Behavior dropping on December 20th. So thank you guys. Have a great day.